Irish neighbor. The man lived right below her and fancied himself a playwright. He was astoundingly annoying, but he was also the closest thing she had to a friend in her building. She allowed him to pull her up and support her as they climbed the stairs together. He too was drunk, drunker than she was, and it turned out she was supporting him more than the other way around. "Good night," Kieran asked as Louise got him to his door. "Sure was," Louise said. "You'll be okay?" "Always am, Tiny." He could get on her nerves, but she genuinely liked him. She liked his optimism, which only shined when he was this drunk. He didn't return the question. He never did. It was just as well. Louise wasn't sure how she'd answer. Chapter 2. Mornings were for stopping by Dauphine's Café. Dauphine's on Rue Bachamont was where Louise went every morning for coffee before work. This was partly because the lovely cafe reminded her of the one she worked in back home, partly because it was the best coffee she had ever tasted, but mostly because the Dauphine daughter, Clemence, was beautiful. Louise had had a crush on her from the moment she moved to Paris. They had nearly the same skin color, but Clemence wore it better. She kept her hair long, always secured at the nape of her neck. She had a gap between her two front teeth that she was shy about. Sometimes she'd laugh and clap a hand over her mouth. Clemence was behind the counter, wearing a blue gingham dress with her hair pulled back. She was intently reading something, her nose wrinkling, as Louise pushed the door open. "We're closed," Clemence said. "Would you make an exception?" Louise asked. Clemence looked up, her face brightening as she saw Louise. "You do this every morning." "It's not my fault your cafe and my store open at the same time." Louise closed the door behind her. She was early, 30 minutes, in fact. "No one in the world makes coffee like you do." "You Americans and your coffee. I will never understand the love affair." "Come on." Clemence put her magazine away as Louise sat at the counter and began the work of preparing 2 cups of coffee. Clemence was a recent convert, only because of Louise. "How was your night?" Louise asked. Clemence rolled her warm brown eyes. She was always trying to play coy, but this is what Louise knew about her. She was an only child, and she was intent on being an actress. What she really wanted was to move to America and star in films. Clemence began to pour the coffee, evenly splitting it between 2 cups. Louise was never sure if Clemence liked drinking coffee, or if she did it because Louise did. Adding a tiny bit of sugar and then cream, Clemence pushed a cup toward Louise. Even for someone who didn't like coffee, Clemence's was amazing. It was everything Louise needed in the early morning. Clemence wiped her hands on her apron, leaning forward on the counter. They were inches away. Louise could see her perfect philtrum over her perfect lips. "You know," Louise said, "I live above Kieran Dunn. I'm sure he knows someone looking for an actress. And he does owe me a favor, or 2. Kieran was the most hapless person she had ever met, including herself. He managed to conjure up trouble just by existing." "I would love that," Clemence said. "I would love anything. How did you end up living above Kieran Dunn?" It had been an accident. Louise had never heard of the Irish playwright before she had the misfortune of moving in above him. "I'll see what I can do," Louise winked. By the time Louise arrived, every weekday night after work and before Aquarius, the Chat Noir was always busy. Her group of friends was always seated on the patio, away from the smoky distractions of music. They were already locked in a myriad of discussions. "Louise!" Doris, black, beautiful, and talented, was the lead singer of a jazz band that hailed from Nebraska. They had gotten to Paris just before Louise had, and had already taken up residence in a club nearby. Doris rose from her seat, handing Louise a glass. She was smoking, an intense